What up? I still don't know how to do this. See, it's different when I'm recording like my like daily videos for like Reels and TikTok and stuff, because I sometimes just go off the top, but then other times like I write it down and I try to script it out just to make sure like the message gets through a little bit clearer. But these are different, and every time I go to start one of these, I think about a buddy of mine who, when I was talking to him about starting to make videos and the kind of vibe I wanted to get across, which is just me, he was like, yeah, you don't want to be like the hey YouTube guy. And I've never been able to shake that. Every time I go to start a video, I still think about that, and sometimes it just totally derails me. But the reason I wanted to make a video today is because I was going through some old journal entries and I thought about some memories that were associated with these journals that I thought could be something you can take a really powerful lesson on perspective from. So taking it back to November 2019, I'll tell you a little bit about what was going on in my life at the time. Life was fairly good. I was still in my undergrad degree. I was at Cal State Fullerton, and I was like well on my way to graduate. I was living with my best bud at the time, and things were generally okay, but the main issue in my life was my dad's health, right? For those of you that don't know, my dad died in 2020, top of 2020, from Parkinson's. And it was a slow and long decline. Like, his initial diagnosis was 2012. It was like right before I went into the Marine Corps that he got his initial diagnosis. And they caught it early, but Parkinson's be doing that, right? It's a slow and painful decline. So over the years, his health got progressively worse, and it was really difficult to watch, right? And it was really difficult being away too, because like from 2012, 2016, I was in the Marine Corps, and then after that, I decided to stay in Southern California to pursue my education and my recovery and like a lot of other things, right? So fast forward to 2019, it's going downhill, and he had to be moved from his own apartment, independent living, into a skilled care facility. And that's, there's some research that shows that depression really increases and a lot of people's health decline pretty quickly when they enter those kind of facilities, mainly due to like loneliness and hopelessness and things like that. So that was kind of a little side quest there. So my dad was in one of these facilities at the time, and it was November 2019, and I had went to visit him. And I think he had just turned 69. This was his last birthday before he had passed. And, I hadn't been accepted to grad school yet, so I was stressing out about that. I had some financial difficulties I was going through. There were a few like minor issues, but I just felt like I was under a lot of stress, even though life was objectively fairly decent. So I go to visit him, and in Michigan, where he was living at the time, it's fucking miserable in November. It's just like, it's cold, it's windy, there wasn't much like snow coming in, so it was just that like bone chilling cold that just sucks to be in. So I go and I visit him, and I realize, like, I'm chatting with him. My dad was my best friend by this point. We had our ups and downs throughout my development and after my mom died. And while I was still drinking really heavily, there were some difficulties there. But after I got sober and went through that whole process, like, our relationship was pretty tremendous, right? He was my best friend. So I'm visiting him, and we're just shooting the breeze. And I realized he hadn't been outside in a couple days. And I was like, dude, you gotta go see the sun. You can't just stay in this place forever, right? So we get him in his wheelchair, and I take him outside, and I start pushing him around. And we got this little like garden area that we're just kind of going in laps around, and it's dark, like it's toward the end of the day, sun's gone down. And I start ruminating, right? I'm like, I'm there, but I'm not like really there. And I start thinking about his health, and I start feeling the fear, that I knew. I could tell there was a dramatic difference in his health from when I had seen him last till then. So I start kind of spiraling, man. And it was really difficult seeing my dad in that position, the person I I'd always looked up to and I always loved with like all my heart. And I was just really sad, and I was spiraling. And then out of nowhere, I got my journal like right in front of me. Yeah, it was, I'm pushing him around and I'm in my head. And all of a sudden, like I hear his voice and he goes, "We sure are lucky, aren't we?" And I was like, fuck. I was like, "You talking to me? Like, are you talking, like what? What could you possibly mean by that? Like, you're dying, And I questioned him. I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Oh, son, like not too many dads get to have this kind of relationship with their sons." And it just rocked my world, man. Like here I was catastrophizing and ruminating and really focusing on the negative, and here he was like in a blissful state, just happy to be with me. And it was an important lesson in perspective. But I didn't realize it at the time, and I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I clearly that like rocked me, but I was like, I feel like since I live so far away, it's kind of selfish of me to be away. Like I should be here taking care of you, and I'm thinking all these things. And I just asked him and I was like, "Pop, like, what can I do for you? Like, I don't feel like I'm doing enough." And, we're walking around, I'm pushing him around and he's like, "You're doing it right now." And, I'm looking at my journal here. And I told him, I was like, "If you need me here, I will not hesitate to pack up and move back." And he's like, "Zach, it's not what I want." And then after a time, he just told me how much he appreciated the relationship we had. And we started talking about that. And man, it's a clear sign to like what's really important, because money's going to come and go. Circumstances are going to be favorable at times and very unfavorable in others. And there ain't really shit we can do about that. It's just part of the gig. But what my dad taught me in that moment was the importance of gratitude. It's easy to be grateful. Like I have an old mentor that would always say like, it's easy to be grateful when shit's going our way, right? But it's incredibly difficult to find gratitude when life isn't quite going the way that we want. And that's what my dad taught me in that moment. And I'm connecting these lessons together from like different periods in my life. But in that moment, he was just grateful that he had his connection, which is like one of the most important things. Like I've built my entire fucking personality on the importance of human connection and meaningful relationships. So, I really just wanted to share that because, coming up in April, that's going to be 6 years since he passed, which, grief is perhaps a topic for an entirely different video. But, whatever you got going on right now, if it's favorable or unfavorable, more so if it's unfavorable, like don't forget what's important. I know it's like easy to say, but I don't mean like conflate this idea that your life's so much better than it is, because it might suck. That period of time, life was generally going well, even though I had some complaints, but there have been other times where life's been going really well and life's been going objectively really shitty in others. And all throughout that while, I've had people in my life that have shown me how to have gratitude, like real gratitude, not just the cute, like, "Oh, I'm thankful for my health, my family, and my friends," but like expressing gratitude through our behavior, telling the people that are in your life that you love them, doing the things that you're appreciative that you can do as a way of expressing that gratitude, right? Like you can't say you're grateful for your health and then treat your body like shit. You can't say you're grateful for your friends and then not call them ever, and so on and so forth. So that was just a little yap fest. I don't know if I have much more I want to say on the topic. It was just, it was an important memory for me, and I've shared it with other people in the past and they found it really helpful. I don't know if that's actually going to be helpful for anyone. I hope it is, because I'm putting it out there for the whole fucking world to see if they so choose. So yeah, that's it for today. I want to keep rhythm with these videos. I want to keep putting myself out there and, in a meaningful way, and try to impact as many people as I can. I've been very fortunate that a few people have reached out recently and thanked me for putting out there the information that I do, which is super rewarding, because when you just put yourself out into this fucking this echo chamber and you don't hear anything back, it's like, ugh, it's a little weird. So it's super reassuring when people say they're actually benefiting from this in a good way. So that's it for today. If you've watched up to this point, thank you for listening to me yap. As I said before, these are completely unscripted, and this one was completely unplanned. I didn't even know I was going to do this until I saw the journal entry and kind of had the idea. I had a few extra minutes here. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you next one.